conductor of the Endor hype train.
Archer's fantastic. I definitely consider her a friend.
We got to hold the line against the other team, and it was very cool.
You just want to make content and just have something you can look back on. You win.
All of that time and energy. I'm just so happy, so grateful to have been there to experience this.
Why, hello to all my fellow nerds, and welcome back to this episode of Fast Tracked, a brand new podcast dedicated to the foam flinging community and the people that just make it awesome. For those who do not know me, my name is Archer. I am dying, but that is not important. I am your dedicated veteran, admin, world-class queen of all of the hype, and host of Fast Tracked. So about a week ago, I had the privilege in getting to be a game admin for the first time, and let me tell you, it was something of an adventure. But hey, I wouldn't want it any other way. So today, we are sitting down with the fearless leader, John Rockwell, over with the Sub-Zero Brigade, and we're going to talk a little bit about that event, how things went down, the introduction for many folks into PvP, and just general shenanigans along the way. How's it going, John?
Oh, Archer, I am great. I'm doing well. I hope you're on the mend here, and thanks very much for having me with you. Really, really appreciate it. I'm very excited. Always love talking about foam. A little bit about me. I guess the best place to start is probably when I started really playing blaster tag, nerf, whatever we call it, this lovely thing that we do anymore. So I started back in 2019, 2020 when I went to college, and that was the only thing that really kept me sane during my time at university and helped introduce me to so many amazing folks who I talked to beyond just playing nerf, but now more so just everyday day-to-day life. So started there, played lots of humans versus zombies, played a lot of more casual level PvP, and as times continued to go on and my love for this hobby continues to grow and I continue to make just amazing people, it's been really a journey for me, and I feel like I keep getting deeper and deeper, and now I'm really I think I know more about this than most other things, and people are like, oh, do you know about this? And I'm like, of course I know about XYZ thing. Yeah, it's just normal for me. Archer, I'm sure you can understand, is you know a little bit too much.
What school did you go to get introduced into this crazy universe?
Yeah. So I started off at Binghamton University. Shout outs to Campus Survival Games. They're amazing Nerf club that's been going on for 10 plus years, and all the folks that have come through that club. So started there, and then transferred up to SUNY Oswego up on the lake. So very much upstate New York heavy. So I started up the Oswego Blasters Club up there, and really tried to make a similar space to Campus Survival Games and just that welcoming family environment, bringing in people of all sorts of backgrounds and really trying to, get foam dart tag or blaster tag or nerf or whatever started up there and introduced that to a new group of people in a new place.
Did you find yourself in coming to Midsummer this past year? Because if memory serves me right, I believe that is how we met.
Yeah. So we met at Midsummer. Midsummer is kind of this, for those of you who might not know, Midsummer is kind of this alumni community get-together, happens in Binghamton each year. There's a little bit of some gameplay, a little bit of hanging out, kind of this nice mishmash of nerds getting together and hanging out and reconnecting. So I had been to Midsummer before. I went to Midsummer in 2021 or 2022, a couple of years back. I had been drawn in to plan Midsummer. We did our inaugural Midsummer HVZ last year, which was super fun, kind of doing this Fairy Odd Parents theme. So we did that and kind of okay, I'm in Binghamton. This is a thing that happens. I want to get involved, especially as a now alumni and longtime friend of CSG's club. And, all of the lovely people who come through there. It's of course, I want to connect with them and continue to plan and continue to stay involved. And So, we ran into each other by chance on Friday, and got to hang out and play some kind of silly PvP games in that like terribly blistering summer heat. And I don't remember how warm it was, but oh man, it was it was brutal.
Do you have any competitive teams that you run with specifically? Because I know I met a bunch of you from Flower City Fallout, right?
Mhm.
And would you say that you run with those guys, or are you more an enthusiastic supporter of comp teams in that region?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I'm friends with Fallout, Flower City Fallout, friends with Rochester Radioactive, and the members who made up that team. I met them through HVZ and through their clubs and just all of the shared traveling and events and the officer discussions and everything. Really trying to chart where the community is going and taking taking an active role in pushing that forward and putting things together. So as much as I wish that I could play with them, I think my skill right now really leans into organization and I do love playing, and I get to play as often as I can. But as we'll get into a little later, it's not always on the table for me right now.
As you said, a lot of the competitive teams that are coming out of the woodwork within our space have just been really
Oh
wonderful
yeah,
people, and it's pretty awesome getting to see the growth of all these teams and different events that are cropping up, and it's really showing how far the hobby is growing just within that slice of the space, and it's pretty neat getting to be a pretty good part of that.
yeah,
But yeah, let's double back to what I have called Snowmageddon. It's kind of hilarious because we met and it was blistering hot, and the event that we just ran was not blistering hot. It was
God,
a rather cold and wet
yeah,
and nasty.
yeah.
So, do we want to talk a little bit of that Snowmageddon, Sub Zero, whatever name we want to call it at this point?
Yeah, of course. I think that I love to think of it as Sub Zero, and I will always think of it as Sub Zero. But being honest, we are going to have to call it something, and Snowmageddon is definitely something that we can we can call it. And I
The
do,
unofficial name.
yeah. I think it's like one of those. You look back at it, you're like, what was it? Yeah, it was the year where we had 6 inches of snow. Um, on game day, which is just that in itself is like the I think kind of going out, and I'm sure you can corroborate this. Like before we started, we were like, okay, we've got a couple of different things. We've got the worst case scenario, we've got what we're hoping for, and then something in between. And we went in, we're like, okay, this is going to be fine. People are going to be able to get here fine. Before the game even started, we were like, okay, we're going to be okay. And then, as we were at lunch and at 3 o'clock, and the game doesn't start till 7, we're like, oh, it's starting to snow. Um, you know, we're
And
sitting
this
like,
wasn't like the dry snow. This was like the sliding around, what causes accidents type snow.
yeah,
So,
it was rough. And so it's starting, obviously starting to snow, and we're like, we had already discussed it for the week prior. Like, are we gonna do this or not? And finally, it was like, okay, you know what, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna give our best whack, and the snow will be fine. Um, and now it just got out of hand. I mean, we were expecting 1 to 3 inches, and I think we ended up with 5.
hmm
And I mean, so just off the bat, like setting up our event, and then seeing, oh dear, we have 50 people who bought tickets, and were excited, and talking about it and getting ready, and now it's like all the way down to we're gonna have 10 people show up, and we have to reschedule. So that kind of, that's the Snowmageddon part. That's the background of this dark cloud that was hanging over our heads at 6:30
yeah.
p.m. when we're about to open up for people to come in.
But this wasn't just your normal winter PvP. This was something that carried significance. So the fact that people still turned up and still braved this ridiculousness in honor of a nerfer who passed away was just really incredible. We had about 45 people come out for this event despite everything. And it was just, I was floored. I don't know about you, but I was really floored getting to see, the commitment that people still wanted to do this.
Yeah, yeah. So we talk about commitment and yeah, I mean we're just shocked. The response to this. So we started Sub-Zero to honor our friend Liam Mattingly, who beyond being the president of Rochester of RIT's HBZ club and beyond being a kind of incredible player as a lot of people recollect in the wider sphere. A player, a designer, a truly like a leader in our hobby, and someone who we really felt that loss for a while, and we will continue to feel that loss of our friend. But seeing the response and seeing the willingness of everyone to come out to brave the weather, to put forward their money, their time, their generosity in lending, the things that were going to help us make these games possible, and to be able to say we raised a considerable amount of money in his name, in his honor, that'll be donated right back to RIT and right back to a cause. His scholarship that was set up in his name. I mean, that's so special to me. Beyond getting a bunch of amazing people from across the country in the room together to play Nerf. I mean, that is, regardless the response of everybody, whether it would be Nerf or even if a car wash, that kind of just yes and willingness to help and everything like that floors me and continues to floor me even a week after the event.
One thing that I've always felt, and I agree 100% with everything that you were saying. So Liam Mattingly, for those of you who don't know, has, as John had said, there's a scholarship in his name, an RIT scholarship for students with dyslexia, right? So yes. With what we were trying to accomplish with Sub-Zero is raising funds for them so that other RIT students, whether they become glorious nerfers or not, have the same opportunities that he did. Mm-hmm. And I would say that we absolutely smashed that goal, especially given everything that was against us for our inaugural year. It was really, really incredible getting to just to see all that and watch that shine through. PvP was really special to Liam. So by putting on this event, we really wanted to focus on bringing more folks, into competitive PvP.
If I have this correct, he actually designed the Silly modified a design of his for the back plate of the slab, so that stock, that back plate where the ridges are, that really rests on your shoulder, is kind of part of his part of Liam's designs. So I always like to think about when I grab that blaster, when I bring it out with me, it's nice to think about it and to look at it and be like, well, at least we have part of our friend, part of our dear friend with us out on the field. And so kind of getting to equipment and getting to gear, and also this little personal anecdote. The things that we saw at Sub-Zero were special. I will say, if you look back at some of the photographs that are posted, you'll see Boomstick's Gallarhorn, which is not only an amazing blaster just to see it in person. I always get a good kick out of seeing that thing. So we have this mix of very off-putting mixed with old school stock. I say old school now, I mean like Rebel. rebel, rival. Some things that are a little more toward.
It's okay, you can say I'm old.
I won't say that you're old, but rebel is approaching 10, so think about that.
It's okay, I am old.
I mean, I have, yeah. So those kinds of things mixed with personal designs and new designs. Chance has been testing out the Tracer, which is kind of a flywheeler, Magnum grip flywheeler, very similar to the Nightingale. Some new mods that have come out onto the field. Some old favorites, the dependable, the Nexus Pro, the Mark II, like these kind of very things now that we think of as very stock standard in that higher FPS space. It was really quite interesting to see the amount of blasters, socks, mega, everything that was being flung out there. And even some Titan rockets, as we had one of our game modes incorporated those amazing goofy Titan rockets. I mean, everything that could have been there, I think was there, and somebody always had something kind of unique. Like, yeah, there were a lot of outlaws, and there were a lot of. I think I have somebody's outlaw from the event that I've still recovered. But
a lot of Nightingales.
Yeah, a lot of Nightingales. There's a Diana. There's a couple Dianas. But also then you have something like, like everybody's got their own version of their outlaw or their Nightingale or their whatever, like extra long shot. I mean, everybody has different long shot configurations now. So it was very interesting to watch. Even the half of the game that I did play, I brought out the Fulcrum, the new stringer design, and then it immediately jammed. And so it's kind of like, for me, it's so much fun at this
stringer.
Ouch! It's that one I need to keep repairing.
No, I'm listen. I rock bows. I'm the same way.
Oh man, I just got my Corsair fixed, and I've been having so much fun around the house just with that like break action.
Yeah, shout out to all of the clubs and organizers and everybody who stepped up for prizes and just really giving towards helping us put on this event. Maryland Nerf Herders, they supplied us with the Titan rockets. We had cover for the CSG, RPI. We had a whole bunch of people step up, as well as the prizes themselves. We had Brain, Al the Geek. Al the Geek was really bummed in not being able to come, so he just donated like a ton of really fantastic prizes. So that was great. Just everybody who played a role, whether they could be there or not, in making this happen. Now, let's talk a little bit about PvP and how it's dependent on the region as far as FPS goes, right? So where I am, right? Where Rob is, down here in the southern part of New York, New Jersey, right? 250 is pretty standard, right? TNT, United Nerf Ops, that's just anything less than that. It's going to be very dependent on who shows up for some of those guys, because they really want to just, I feel like they look for the welts sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. But then you have like Ithaca, right? Ithaca and Rochester, where it's a very HVZ heavy player base. And when we were putting on this event, people were taking on 150, which is nowadays pretty low end for PvP. They were doing this for the first time. How do you feel that the 150 FPS translated when putting on Sub-Zero for the Ithaca Rochester folks?
Yeah. I mean, we talk about regional differences. I know I kind of alluded to it several times, and we'll continue to. This upstate is upstate Pennsylvania. I don't mean to speak for a lot of other people, but these areas are kind of undeveloped, so to speak, right now. It's a little bit of like the PvP Wild West. This hobby really seems to thrive, obviously, like most things. You find your niche where there's more people, and the folks in Rochester, the institutions in Rochester have been incredible. I mean, even me, who lives 2 hours away from Rochester, I would still go, and I still go from time to time to go play with them, because it's just their institutions support that and can support PvP and can support players that aren't necessarily in a collegiate setting, such as myself, you, Rob, Boomstick, all the players who aren't 18 to 22, or are
Yeah.
not in college. Also is an option. So that is the crux in kind of why we were thinking and trying to be conscious of this event. Not only were we trying to raise money, and not only were we trying to bring the community together and offer this fun experience, and try to make it as unique as we could, but also thinking about, okay, this is going to be something where we want our players to feel comfortable, no matter where they're coming from. And for some folks, it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell to be like, hey, we're gonna play 150, and even some of the feedback we've received now is asking for that limit to be changed. And so we, as organizers and as admins, we have to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on, because the people who are deeply entrenched, our fellow nerds who are very, very entrenched in this community and entrenched in their games and their way of life. I'm sure you do too. Is you like your games a certain way,
Right.
and yeah, for people who play in Uno, and for people who play in Singapore and other areas where there's a very vibrant community, 250 exists. But for people upstate, for people in college, for people who are just getting into the scene or just starting, or players, we have some players I know, friends who barely like 100, and so to ask them to make this,
Really?
yeah, and it just comes down to,
Wow.
it just comes down to how comfortable they are, and how safe they feel, and their play style and everything like that. It is between a 100 and 200 FPS is just frankly a totally different game.
It really is. I mean, we were just having this conversation. I couldn't make it over to TNT's clinic the other night, but I've heard nothing but raving reviews about it. And a lot of it had to do with the cover. I was able to go last month. I was able to go to an event over in the city where it involved a lot of CQB play. And with that, you had lower FPS. So it all kind of coincided with one another, because you had the lower FPS with more cover, so you had more of that dynamic play. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to, and I didn't even think about this until us having this discussion. Age is definitely a factor when it comes to your player base.
Yes.
So up there, anytime I go to visit New York State, 9 out of 10, I know I'm in ZOW country. ZOW stands for Zombie Awareness Organization. It's a casual Nerf team of older folks who like to shoot the pew-pews and just have a good time. But a lot of times you'll find that they're used to playing with lower FPS. So from what you've observed, do you feel that folks would want to do a lower FPS for future Sub-Zeros, higher FPS? And do you feel that perspective from this past event could change over time?
So the way that I see it right now is that Sub-Zero is, to me, and to the way that I would love to position our event, is kind of this. We have Midsummer, and Midsummer every summer draws a very big group. We've actually just had, traditionally it was just an alumni get together. It was just folks getting together. They might shoot around a little bit, but mostly they're just there to hang out, to catch up, kind of serve as this community platform. And that's what I would love to have for Sub-Zero, is to have this community platform where we get together and we raise money for an amazing cause, whatever cause that is that the administrators choose, and connects to the community, obviously. So to have that, there are certain there are certain things that have to stay the same, and for some folks that might be a little upsetting and a little off putting. And to them, I would.
You can't please
Oh
everybody.
no, and where do we? Because the people in ZIO, like I was surprised that they came because they very rarely play, and most often they'll come to Binghamton's events because that is their alma mater, that is where they came from, that's where their loyalty, their allegiance lies. So, part of it is thinking about it and saying, okay, if we want to have cast a very wide net, and be able to present something unique, okay, we might have to put some constraints on ourselves, and for right now, going forward, 150 is a good spot for us. If things continue to change,
Good.
then we'll look at it again. But I think for right now, we're going to hang with 150.
What would you say was a favorite memory from the event, and what was the biggest takeaway for you? We had people, again, from New York State, and then we had people as far south as West Virginia. So you had all kinds of folks, guys, coming for this event. And I'm curious to hear what you thought was the pluses, the minuses. What was the biggest memory for you?
Yeah. So one of the biggest memories that I was just so excited for, was, some of these are all people that I and we have all met throughout the years, and having like just the moment of like having them all in the same room, hanging out, talking, goofing around, talking about blasters, talking about foam flinging, talking about designs, like, getting them all together in a room is just so. And I look at the photographs and I'm like, this is the craziest gathering of nerds and of geeks and dweebs and whatever have you, that you might see. And just, watching people come through that front door, and checking them in and saying hi and just giving them like a genuine like thank you for coming. So just to start with, like that response is just so like visceral, and for me, I just felt that response floored me and will continue to floor me. I don't think that'll ever change. And in terms of like a specific, memory, being able to watch us attempt to, we have a video of this, attempt to raffle off a purple worker seagull, that it was definitely green. It's just so there's just
going to be the forever meme from
there's
this.
just so funny. There's something else is sprouted up. There's a photo of Chance, and Chance is like standing straight up and down, totally normally with this nightingale, like just pointed out, so casual, and so there's this photo of him, and now it's kind of taken off as a brief meme, where it's just like Chance defending his lawn, and like that, like we're playing Pinger, and there's just a couple players that are just sitting, like they just have like a folding chair. They brought a folding chair into the gym, and they just sitting in the chair, like defending their corner. And I was playing.
They did this during.
Yeah, and I was playing as a zombie, and
Where the hell was I?
It
Why
was
was I
James.
not paying attention? That's awesome.
The person that did it first was James, from with the ZIO, and so I'm walking James down, and it's like, yeah, you get hit, you wait 10 seconds, but you're moving forward like 5 steps at a time, and so I'm almost with arm's reach, and I just had this moment where I'm looking at James, and he's just sitting there like relaxing in the chair. He's got the Diana just pointed out, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk away, like that's it's so funny, like I just gotta let him have this, and I'm like, hey, the other person who's with me, I'm like, hey, let's just go do something else, like let's just let him have this. Kind of just these like, as serious quote unquote as it was, and as serious as these players are and their equipment is, and everything, still walking over, and just these silly like moments, these silly little moments of things happening, where it's like this is so odd. Only in the foam flinging hobby can this happen, and then you just turn around and like walk away, and it's over. So
Hmm.
that was
Did you hear of the story? Did you hear of the story of how James put himself in? It's funny because where this event was at the YMCA in Ithaca, and this is also like where you work.
yeah.
So James kind of hid himself under the sink off of one of the cabinets to the side,
Oh, jeez.
and he had a picture, and he was like, "Look what I did at the very
Oh
last
my
round." And I was like,
god.
"You did what now? Also, you're a twig."
Yeah.
That was fantastic. He literally just hid in there, and
Oh.
he's like, "I'm an OZ, and I'm just gonna grab people when they're not
Oh.
expecting it. It's in the dark, and you just see like white and blue lights. So who's gonna expect it?" And then he ankle bit a few people,
Oh
and it
my
was
god. I
amazing.
mean, this is just. There are some times where there's just. That's kind of the beauty of this community. I'll stay short with this one, is that it's just such a gathering of weirdos. And they'll just do. You just do whatever. Like, as long as nobody's getting hurt, they'll just do whatever.
Yeah, do whatever. The rest will fall into
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
What did
It's
you
like
just do?
I think a recent HBZ experience I had was we Brain and Scotty and a couple other people like broke off from the main group, and we're like, okay, we're gonna sneak around the campus and cut through the main horde and rejoin the big group so that they can get a little bit of support, and also because we have nothing to do. And so as we're sneaking through the campus, we finally reach kind of the main group is like up a hill, and then we can hear the horde, we can hear the flywheels. We're like, okay, we're in the right spot, we know where we're going. So as we start sneaking up the hill, there's one of we it's like a video game tutorial. Like one of us spots a
I love when that
zombie,
happens.
and we duck into a bush, and I'm looking out and I'm like, okay, I've got a stringer. We tag them, we sneak by, we go do our objective, maybe die, and then get back to my group. And it's my friend Josh, and so I look over, and he makes direct eye contact to us, and I just hold up like one finger, and I'm like, shh, and he just turns around and just walks up the hill and lets us run through and have our little tear of tags.
Silence, friend, before I kill you.
Yeah. just knew better.
Yeah. So any advice for anybody coming into the hobby? Because it's our hobby is so broad and dynamic, and the generosity is just wild. Any advice for anyone coming in?
Oh man. I guess don't be afraid to reach out to whoever, right? Like that's my I mean, I didn't know anybody just when I started, and the like you say generosity, and I think of all of these people who even if I don't know them, even if I've never met them, I can still send them a message. The World Foam Alliance, if you're getting into the hobby, they just opened up this brand new website, and acts as like a nice social hub. I hate to say Reddit, but Reddit, like just there are people who this hobby is such a deep love of theirs. It's a deep love of mine. Archer has told me so many amazing stories of their deep love too, and some of her stories are better than mine, but I'm working on it.
I said this when we were having lunch before Snowmageddon, dust snow. I've been doing this for so long, but I had so many takeaways for talking favorite memories and whatnot on my end. I've learned so much from you guys. Just the age doesn't
No, no.
matter. I mean, it's there's always something to gain if you're paying
Oh yeah,
attention.
yeah, and I
And
totally agree.
I've really learned a lot about game organizing, and just how certain things, the forward planning. Shout out to you and being on top of the forward planning with this, because that schedule was so vital, by the way, while we were doing this event,
Yeah,
because without that, I don't think we would have been as efficient with our 4 hours as we were.
yeah, yeah, and that. yeah, I guess learn ahead. One of the things that I learned playing a lot of HVZ is this concept of HVZ time, which I hate, and I'm sure you'll get to know it too, Archer, if you come and play more Humans versus Zombies with us. Um,
Yeah.
is that you say when things are going to run, but something gums up the works, and it just keeps sliding back and sliding back and sliding back, and eventually you're like, oh, this is you're way off schedule, and so.
Oh yeah.
If you're planning anything, if you're planning an event, if you're planning like a game night or a con or a movie, a film festival, anything like that, is to have a timeline. And even if
Oh
if
yeah.
something goes wrong, we had that a couple times during our event. We got a late start, and we needed to take read the room, but if you have a timeline, you know when certain things need to get done. You know when things are supposed to end, and two, if things get off course, that you have another spot to anchor onto, and to say, okay, we missed this one, we're going to go for this next one. Stuff like that. So yeah, that's like into my event organization, is like have a timeline. Always ask for help. There are so many people in this community
Yeah.
that will just they will just give of themselves, and we learned this, and throughout HBZ, like the best thing that you can do is be understanding, be generous, ask for help, because if you understand that the people that are organizing your games are human too, and most of us, if not all of us, are not getting paid to organize games, you develop a deep appreciation for the folks who do this and who deeply love this. But yeah, that's kind of my long winded tips for everybody. I'm sure I could write them down, but
What I love about this community is that if you do it right, people are so determined to help each
oh
other
yeah,
grow. And that's across the board. Doesn't matter if you're into all parts of the hobby or just one. And it's inspiring getting to see that. And, then that translates into play, no matter how serious or silly you want to make it. And it's a pretty great thing to be a part of.
I do want to mention, on the topic of getting help and everything like that, is a really big part of this community to me, having lived through the End War 2022 disaster, is to be very transparent, and I think that definitely there were a lot of organizational errors, mostly from my knowledge on the end of the End War team, and not so much on their regional representatives. But
Were you one of the
no,
moderators?
no, but we had such a thorough detox after that event that I think that really again, we talk about what brought me into this community. Actually,
RIT moral
yeah,
support,
yeah,
y'all.
RIT moral support, the breakdowns after End War, and just saying, like, okay, this is the rumbling at the time was it was going to be paid the year after, and I think kind of the big genesis, at least on the East Coast, was like, okay, it's going to be paid. This fiasco is going to happen again. Like we kind of saw a little bit of this drama play out when the last End War was organized, and they said, we're going to Florida, and then University of Florida said, wait, you're coming to Florida? Like that, just kind of that disconnect between the organizers and the people that they were attempting to play with, and the people that they're attempting to.
And then there was the rest of us just chilling.
Yeah,
around,
and we're just watching this go down, and kind of like, huh, okay. And so there are a lot of discussions between my friends and our contacts in the community, of saying, okay, we shouldn't rely on people to come save us. we shouldn't necessarily rely on a personality to come save us. I think we need to start saving ourselves. And so, out of this blunder comes this amazing first year event, survival, PA Survival Fest, and to those folks who are veterans and go above and beyond and are players and have their heads on their shoulders, and who I run into and deeply admire. And then Sub-Zero and Midsummer kind of rising up to take the spot of saying, okay, you know what? I think it's time for us to fend for ourselves and pick up this tradition.
Where can people find you? You got any
That's
socials?
tough. So I'm, in terms of foam flinging, I'm pretty quiet. You can find me on Instagram, but I very rarely post. It's mostly within Discord servers. So if you are, Sub-Zero is going to start having a presence soon. We've got amazing photos from this year's event, so keep an eye out for those, especially Instagram, Facebook, but mostly. If you're in the East Coast and you know who to ask, I'll be at Survival Fest. I think I've got 5 or 6 HVZ games on the calendar, but I really like to try to stay low to the ground. Whether or not that'll continue, I don't know. But in terms of like content creation, not really for Nerf stuff. But if you keep an eye out, keep your ear to the ground. I'm sure we'll run across each other. I oftentimes dress up in a Kirby suit if I'm playing HVZ, or my lovely pink suit, which I need a new suit jacket.
When's your next event, friend? So people can find you and find a whole lot of pink on your person.
I think I'm not entirely sure yet. I know the place you can find me for sure is Survival Fest in the summer, and Midsummer when we release dates for that. I think that's going to be the last weekend of July. There's going to be a half-day HVZ game there. I think 3 to 4 missions. It's a lot more laid back. It's a lot more fun. It's mostly just to get folks together, play some HVZ, reconnect, goof around, and have a great weekend. So, upstate New York, Binghamton. If you want to see us for Midsummer, and then Sub-Zero 2025 is going to be coming down the pipe, and hopefully we'll have a better name for it than Snowmageddon. I think we're going to introduce a theme next year, but
we need to make a patch.
Yeah, I love that. I have those. I have all those stickers that I need to get to folks in mail and distribute. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I always love talking foam flinging and talking about the amazing folks and people in our community and the things that we're able to accomplish together through shooting darts at each other.
Absolutely. Wouldn't want it any other way. But alrighty, guys. That is about it for us on this episode of Fast Tracked. I want you all to stay classy, stay awesome until we hit up our next stop, which is going to be all about rules and refs. That's right. We're going to be talking to a couple of your favorite referees in the Nerf community and how the rise of referees have played a role in comp play and the community at large. It's going to be a good one. Take it easy.